All right. Hey, everybody. I am hopping on really quickly just to famous last words, right? Really quickly. But I'm hopping on just to answer some questions that I have gotten about the upcoming well, one, the questions have been twofold. So just kind of questions in general about the Akashic Records, and then two, questions about the upcoming class. So if you don't know, October 12th and 13th, I am having a live virtual class to teach how to access and work in the records. Okay. So what are the Akashic Records? The Akashic Records are a energetic body or energetic field that holds all past, present, and future possibilities. Now we can dive into that and dissect that a little bit more. And I do in the class really go into kind of like the history of the Akashic Records, looking at it across kind of multiple, I would say, I won't say timelines, but looking at it from multiple vantage points, even prior to us knowing it as the Akashic Records, right? Because this field existed before we gave it the term or before someone gave it the term, the Akashic Records, right? So looking at that. So that's what the big picture, what the records are. So one of the questions that I got was, are they safe? Right. And I've gotten this in kind of multiple ways of like the safety of working in and dealing with the records. And so one of the things that I like to stress is that the Akashic records are a realm of light. All right. Um, there is no negative or dark force within the Akashic records themselves. Now, with that said, the world works in polarity, right? There is always going to be, in order for there to be light, there has to be dark. Like we can't know one experience without having something on the opposite side. But the opposite side of the records is some force or system that I do not know. I do not know that system. But within the Akashic records themselves, the Akashic records is the realm. It is a realm of light. All of the energies, all of the beings, all of the stuff that work within that is that. And how I really like to think of the Akashic records now is that it is really just universal consciousness, right? It is our ability to tap into and truncate all of the energy that is, because everything is energy, right? So all of the energy that's kind of floating and swirling and doing all of the things. And when we focus it into the guise or the understanding that we're accessing this energy from the perspective of the Akashic records, what we are doing is accessing this information at soul level. So getting kind of that soul level view about the Akashic records. All right. So first question was, um, what was the first question? First question was, it's late. Well, it's late to me and I'm tired. But first question, is it dangerous? And no, the answer is no. That's a very short answer. Are there false records? Yes. Right. Are there um people and systems who say you are connecting to this thing and that's not really what you're doing? Yes. But the Akashic records in and of themselves are safe. And there are no dark forces that work within the Akashic records. So that's question one. Question two is more specific to my class. So I teach from the standpoint of, one, the Akashic records will always meet you where you are. What do I mean by that? You're never going to get information in a way that will be hurtful or harmful to you as a person, because that's just not the nature of the records. That's not how it's set up, right? So you're always only going to get information with where you are. So an example of that would be, if I am asking about, I'll actually use a real person, a situation that I had. So I had a client who came to get an Akashic record reading with me. And at the end of the reading, she was a little perturbed because I didn't mention her SA, right? I don't want to get pulled or anything like that. So I'm just using the initials, right? Because that didn't come up. But what did come up, right, were some things or some traumas that she needed to work with around mindset. And afterwards, she was like, well, basically, she almost was like dismissing the other thing. And I was like, well, you recognize, even just in you telling me right now about this, like there's so much anger, there's so much frustration, there's so much hurt dealing with how you are perceiving this situation, that even if I had told you what was coming through the records, you're not really in the place to receive it. What they've given you is information to basically deal with some of the outer energies, right? The ways that you've processed it, the ways that you've stored it in the body, to start to release some of that. So then eventually you get to this other place where you can heal and deal with this story of the essay in a different way. So the records will always meet you where you are and never give you information in the way that is going to be hurtful or harmful or disruptive to you, right? It literally is processed in that type of way. And if you go to anyone, if you go to a reader, something, and they are giving you that type of information, I would strongly encourage you to not go back, because that's just not the nature of the Akashic Records. All right. So the first question that I got was, are they safe? We've identified absolutely safe, 100% in the light. Second question was, in my class, does information come up that could be hurtful or harmful? But again, the records will meet you where you are. And then the last thing that happens in the context of my class, you do your own kind of guided journeying. So typically I will offer questions as guides as we are working through the process for you learning how to access the records. So let's say I may say, we'll get to an exercise and I may type 3 questions, right? You can pick one of those questions, or you can do something that feels more in tune or in alignment with what you're trying to do. So with that said, you get to kind of steer the ship with the direction and the information that you are receiving, right? And I am always team know where you are, right? One, as a dancer, as a dance teacher, the thing that we tell the students is, like, don't use my body. Don't use my body today as the marker for what your body needs to be doing, right? If you need to go take some moments over to the side and do some extra stretching, go and do that. So it's the same thing for me when I'm teaching in this type of setting and in this context, right? I am going to give general information that I am being led to provide, because I am always in constant communication and I move with the energy, right? But then you also have agency to take care of yourself in whatever way that feels necessary for you. All right. So those are just the few questions that I wanted to come on and answer. Tomorrow night, which is, just in case we're not all watching this at the same time, tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday. I am doing Ask Me Anything. So during Ask Me Anything, you are free to jump on with me, type questions in the chat. You can send me questions ahead of time if you know that you're not available tomorrow. I can't think of what time it is. I think it's at 7 o'clock. And I do it over on YouTube. Okay. Mosquitoes bit me. That's why I keep scratching, y'all. Sorry. But it's at 7 o'clock. So you can ask me, you can pre-send me questions if you know I'm not going to make it tomorrow, or you can join me tomorrow and ask the questions in the chat. I love conversation. I will answer whatever you ask. My areas of interest: ancestral lineage healing, Akashic records, universal laws, self-empowerment, soul wisdom, quantum physics, neuroscience, all of the things. I love it. All right. So you can join me tomorrow for Ask Me Anything. And then I think I have the next week, there's another question and answer session around specifically the Akashic Records. So feel free, if you have questions, drop it in the chat here, and I can, like I said, I can jump back on. But I am going to get ready to go to bed. I have a trip tomorrow for work, and I'm tired. So, all right. Good night, y'all.